thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, our pleasure. Of course.
Yeah. So, this podcast is all about your guys' journey in the music industry and how you got to where you are today.
Great.
Wonderful.
Cool. I
Where are
did.
you based out of?
I'm sorry.
Where are you based out of?
We're in San Diego.
Oh, cool.
What about you guys?
Los Angeles.
LA? Is that where you guys started the band?
No, we started in New York, actually.
Okay. Are you both originally from New York?
I'm from New York and Eddie's from LA. So
I'm from Orange County. I'm from like 45 minutes north of San Diego County.
Oh, cool. What part of Orange County?
Huntington Beach.
Okay, right on, man. Tell me about growing up in Huntington.
Huntington was awesome, except I don't surf because I'm deathly afraid of sharks. But I mean,
I don't surf either, and I grew up here too.
Oh yeah. No, growing up, I mean, it's probably not much different than where you grew up. I mean, it's like a beach town, and it was awesome. Like growing up as a childhood, I would like not trade it. I mean, like after living in New York and LA now, I'm glad I grew up there.
Yeah. How did you get into music?
How did I get into music? I don't know. My dad is a doctor, but he plays bass and was always into like records, like had a extensive record collection of like classic rock stuff. So I kind of got in because of him. And then in Orange County, there's the whole like pop punk scene, like Chain Reaction and like all that stuff.
Sure.
House of Blues and whatever. So yeah, I wanted to be in like a pop punk band, and that evolved into like, let's try to write songs when I'm in college, and then that evolved into like, oh, maybe I can try to do music if I go get my MBA and if I can stave off the real world for as long as I can. Let's just do that. Yeah. I don't know. And then how'd you get into it?
I was always a piano player from a very young age, studying classical, and then I switched to jazz. Did all like the jazz ensembles, jazz band in high school. And yeah, so it was mainly through like a more like studied musical piano kind of vibe.
Sure.
And in college, I was also really good with computers. And then in college, as sort of an experiment, my dad actually was going to school for audio engineering randomly, like a midlife crisis thing. And for his final project, he needed to record a song with vocals and asked for me to write and produce a song with vocals, which I hadn't done before. And I enjoyed that experience so much. And then I started learning about like how to use computers to make music and all that, and got really into it. So that's how I started producing.
Yeah. So your dad going back to school was what sparked you into actually writing music?
In at least like contemporary music, like getting out of that jazz bubble.
Sure. Okay. So always you grew up with jazz and more of a classical thing, as where Eddie was more the pop punk scene. Is that kind of where you came from?
Yeah, pop punk, classic rock, that whole thing.
Very cool. So how did you guys meet up? You met in New York?
Yeah, we met in New York. We were fresh out of school, and we were like aspiring. This is like when New York still had like somewhat of like a music scene. Now it's like non-existent, but
is that right? I didn't know that they really have a big thing going there now.
There's nothing there. But yeah, we were trying to be aspiring like writers and producers, and trying to get into sessions with other people. And we were like super green. And then we met at a session one day and just connected, and then we started to write a bunch of songs together, and saw the whole process of like trying to pitch songs for other artists, and it wasn't that fun. It's kind of just like wasn't that rewarding. And we wrote a bunch of songs that sounded like it could be for a band, and we were like, hey, we should just start a band, start playing out.
So you guys were together writing just for pitch for syncs and stuff, or for mood? Like, what were you were in these writing sessions?
So like both of us had in our minds that we would be more behind the scenes, writers, producers, writing songs for other artists.
Oh, okay. And then from that just kind of sparked into what became the score.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as a writer producer, I'm sure like some of the songwriters and producers you speak to, they're kind of at the mercy of the artist and the label and the manager, waiting for hopefully their song to get picked to be cut so that it can be out there in the world.
Sure.
Otherwise they have no control. Like they have no control over that. And Eddie and I did that for a bit, found it frustrating, knew that we could perform these songs on our own. You know, we were young and we loved going out and seeing music in the Lower East Side and going to all these music venues. So we were like, let's book a show and do it ourselves.
Yeah. Plus the girls didn't like what's happening like behind the scenes.
They weren't as impressed.
Yeah. And yeah, when you're like, I mean, now looking back, and it's like when you're 23 and 24, like playing like a Rockwood music hall, I still don't think girls were impressed, but at least for us, like we got free drink tickets after the show.
There you go.
So, you know, it's not worth it.
Was there a particular song that you guys wrote where you were like, you know what, like we should really do this thing on our own instead of trying to pitch some of these songs out to other artists?
You know, it's funny, when we were first like starting out, we did this song called this song called like Dancing Shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It was this song I had on acoustic guitar and brought it to Edan, and he built it up and it sounded great. And I remember randomly getting a phone call from Carrie Diaguardi, randomly, who's like she was like a huge pop songwriter in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like
okay,
Ashley Simpson, you know, whatever. And like
A judge on American Idol.
Yeah, she's written a ton of like hit records.
How did you got a call from her, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was like, "Oh, I really love this song," and yada yada, and wanted to pitch it for an opportunity for one of her artists, you know, whatever. And Edan and I were like super green and had not ever really gotten like cuts at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, I think that early on we were like, okay, cool, like I guess we don't suck like that bad. This is probably like, we could probably like figure this out. But I mean, that was like super early on, and then the band took like so many years of work and like different iterations to figure out what we wanted to sound like.
Mm-hmm. And when was it actually the score and you guys started playing out, or was it always that when you started writing songs together as a band?
Oh, what was it called? Yeah, that was the first name we officially chose, and we.
Oh wow! And
yeah.
You stuck with it. Okay, because sometimes like there'll be the early formations of a band and they're kind of changing stuff, and then it's finally like, okay.
We probably should have changed names.
Oh no, we thought. Oh, we have.
I think
it.
Bands, what they do is like they realize they need to reinvent themselves as they're still searching for their sound, figuring it out. So they change up their name to show this is the beginning of a new era for us, and it's really a new project.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We dragged that name through the mud, through all the different failures of sounds that we were trying to experiment with. So
that's funny. I did read that you guys had a really big song that attracted Republic and everything with "Oh My Love," which had a big sync, right? It was kind of like but I want to talk about before that song came out. Were you guys playing shows and everything around New York?
Yeah, I mean, we did all the shitty places that you have to play in New York that at the time feel like they matter. Like we did like Rockwood Music Hall, which is like a staple.
It's not shitty.
No,
Charming.
Cool.
We'll call them charming places.
Charming. Rockwood is not on the list of shitty ones. Rockwood's on the list of like they really cater to like the songwriting community, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. We did like Rockwood, we did the Bitter Ends, we did Arlene's Grocery, we did pianos. We did so many places and then we moved to LA and immediately we're like, okay, cool, we'll play the Mint in Los Angeles. We'll play like Hotel Cafe, like
sure.
We did a couple of those.
We did a couple of those. So, I mean, we did the places that you kind of have to play.
Right. But for us, it wasn't like, I don't know. I guess a lot of people like write music and they like start playing shows and they think that maybe the show will just keep growing and growing and it's keep going more and more. Or like the right person will notice them at a show, something like that. But no, for us, it was Eddie and the magic happened in the studio. We had a song and then our managers at the time pitched it to the CEO of the biggest retailer in the UK. He loved it, passed it to his marketing team. They happened to be doing a 50th anniversary, huge marketing campaign. Like the amount of money they're going to put in this campaign was like never seen before.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make our song the centerpiece of the campaign. So it was like
so crazy.
Yeah. Like, yeah, they said the goal was to make it like a radio hit in the UK. That's like, because they wanted just to have the commercial on that many times, that they wanted this, like, just by association, like, oh yeah, if we do it this often and with this much, you know, press and this much like advertising publicity, that the song should, you know, get up on the charts. So it was funny because we didn't really believe it, and then we kind of saw it and we're like, holy shit.
Yeah, and that was for a company in the UK too, so you're not really seeing it firsthand in the States, right?
Yeah, we didn't know what was going on in the States until we started getting phone calls, and then we're like, oh shit, I guess like this is actually something, because it went from like getting a couple emails to like the next week it was like we were just
from music industry people.
Yeah, we got a couple soft like, hey, what's going on, and then like a week later it was like a flurry of just like hi, I'm the A&R from Republic, I'm the A&R from a bunch of different labels.
Oh my gosh, was that kind of overwhelming?
Yeah,
or just rad that all these people are attached?
It's funny, like we talk about this with other artists. It's like the process of getting signed is like the most fun once in a lifetime experience you'll ever have, because after that point you'll never be treated that way again. So like they take you in the black cars everywhere.
Oh man, we thought
amazing steak dinners paid for. I mean, you're being treated like they literally convince you that you're gonna be like the next big celebrity, you know, by the way they treat you. But that changes.
Yeah, we were getting like Lincoln Town cars everywhere. We were staying at, like the Kensington Garden Hotel, which is like this 5-star hotel in London. It was like, yeah, what are you doing? So we were going to Soho House, Shoreditch House, all these crazy, you know, exclusive.
We've never been exposed to ever.
Yeah. Right. You know, we were like, yeah, we made it. Fuck yeah, we made it. That's, you know, that's what we thought, and we were naive.
But still, I mean, that must have been such a cool experience. That were like multiple labels are like whining and dining you to try to get you to sign with them.
Yeah, it felt like dating in Los Angeles.
That's so rad. Cool. So so this song's huge. People are calling you, and then you guys signed to Republic. And they just had the best deal for you? Was there a reason behind that?
I mean, that was part of it. Yeah. They offered a very strong deal. I think we came down actually to the last two that we were choosing between was Republic and Columbia.
Yeah.
Or was Columbia /
Sony
UK or something. It was like we just really liked the A&R that reached out to us. We became our A&R, Ben Adelson, and that relationship has been so good. He's been such an amazing champion for us through the years. And then we just like loved their mentality and their ethos about they wanted to win. They wanted to win big. And Eddie and I share that same sentiment. We write about it in our songs. We want to win. So we felt like we were kindred spirits in that way.
That's cool. And so you signed the record deal, and then what was the first thing they do for you? Do they put you on the road? Do you go in the studio and record an EP?
No, for us, because the song was taking off in the UK. For us, it was, all right, well, you guys are signing now, and we want to translate like whatever happened in the UK to America. So they basically just like put us on the road, just doing like radio promo, which we had never done before for a different genre than we're even in now, for Hot AC. So we were like driving through Ohio. We were driving through like all of these random places, Denver, San Francisco. We were all over the place, just doing radio promo, just like meeting like
program directors and stuff.
Yeah, meeting program directors and just like playing "Oh My Love" acoustic like a million times a day. You know, it went from never really doing like real video shoots to like, oh, we're gonna do a video shoot with here's a whole crew and photo shoot with the whole crew, and it was kind of like but yeah, that was the first thing they did. They went to radio, and then it didn't succeed in the US like I think everyone kind of had hoped, which at the time I think we were devastated for, but in retrospect it was probably one of the better things that could have happened to our career was that song not working here, because it allowed us to kind of take a step back and be like, all right, what do we really want to be as a band? Like, what do we want to sound like? Who are we? Because I think we were kind of always chasing that song because of the success. It just took off so quickly. And that was one of the first songs we wrote when we moved to LA. So yeah, I mean, that was the first thing we did when the label signed us.
Yeah. And then so you did like those radio tours, trying to jump on the backs of what you had going on in the UK. But then you had on that Atlas record, did you put that out after coming back to here and doing the radio stuff? That was later, right? The record, the full length?
Yeah. So then we put out an EP right away with Oh My Love. And so and then after Oh My Love didn't really take off and the EP did not that amazing, you know, I guess we were in a good enough deal and we had a champion enough that they decided not to drop us.
We did another EP too after that.
Oh, what EP?
We did like 2 EPs before Outlet.
Yeah, but which one had Unstoppable on it?
That was
the second EP?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess they just gave us another chance. You know what I mean? They could have dropped us right there and then. A lot of labels would have.
Yeah.
But they gave us a second chance, which was amazing. They were patient with us. They put us in with all these different writers. We did the whole LA writing circuit. And then I think we wrote Unstoppable with David Hodges and who was the other
Stephen Solomon.
Yeah, Stephen Solomon. And that one reacted and started getting syncs and started reacting. And Eddie and I felt like, well, if this is what is reacting for us, we could do this all day. You know what I mean? And we can also take it into a place that maybe is like a vibe artistically that we identify with. And we kind of just like use that as a starting point. And then we wrote Legend, and then suddenly the gates were wide open for us.
Oh, sure. That song is, I mean, both those songs are massive, but Legend was like, it made it into like a video game, right? Wasn't it in like NHL or one of the?
It made it into like video games. It was like the theme of the NBA playoffs a couple of years ago. It was like, it was like every workout playlist had it. It was like it's still one of those things where it's crazy because like we see all the back end stuff with like how many streams it gets, and like the amount of streams it still gets a day is like I just crack up. It's like ridiculous.
It's like a straight up hit status. It may have not been on the radio, but
it's massive.
It's garnering anything a hit song would get for sure, and it's ubiquitous. I mean, you go to any sports game, they're gonna play it at the stadium.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And I'm looking at it on Spotify right now. It has over 101 million plays. That's so great.
You know, the thing about that was a song that was just Eddie and I, just the two of us in our pretty crappy studio at the time in Hollywood.
Wow. That's insane. So that song goes huge. I mean, that song's doing super well. And then do you tour again and have more success that way?
No. So it's like, I think that's also what was an issue. It was, I think for literally and probably until a couple years ago, our whole MO was just like, we were just chasing songs. So like with Legend, it was like, okay, we got to write more songs sound like Legend or whatever. But we still didn't get to like take time to like figure out the band stuff. Like, what do we really want to like mean? Like what we're saying, like, what do we want to look like? We need to start touring. And we weren't really doing those things still. It was always kind of locked in the studio. And our live show wasn't great at that point. So I think it took another year, like after that, because the song it was like us chasing the song that got so big because of like all these commercial syncs and Spotify and stuff. But it was kind of like a faceless song. Like everyone heard it and no one really knew who it was. So it took a year probably for us after that to really we went on tour for the first time, like in a van, playing, all these venues. And I think that was the thing that helped us the most, was getting on the road and touring, because it helped us develop like a persona and, kind of like a vibe that we didn't have before.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, do you enjoy the touring aspect of it, or do you like the studio stuff?
I think we both really enjoy the touring aspect. I mean, there's nothing like the adrenaline rush you get from playing your songs to, hundreds, if not thousands of people who are screaming the lyrics back at you. I mean, And it's also gratifying because when we're holed up in our studio all the time, you put the songs out there, you get the metrics, you get the numbers. You're like, oh, this song's doing well. And you're like, cool, I believe you. But like when you go out and you actually play the songs, you can see like the music actually touching these people and like your fans, and they're coming up to you and they're telling you personal stories about how, you know, this song helped me get through this. This song helped me come out to my parents. This song helped me, you know, get through high school. And that's then for us, what happened was there's a transition from playing this game of like, how do we get on the radio and how do we get on Billboard and charts and all that? And it was a transition to like, no, we just created this community and we just have to feed the community. And that was like so gratifying for us.
Oh yeah, I can imagine being validating, going out there and being like, oh, these people are actually consuming what, you know, sure, it says 100 million streams, but like you said, does that mean people are actually digesting it? And that's rad to see that like in real time. It's bizarre nowadays. Like, do you feel like, I was talking with somebody else about this. Do you think it'd be harder to get signed now because everything is so like black and white as far as like the streams go and the followers and all that stuff? Do you feel like now it's a little harder, or did you have that same struggle with, you know,
I think it's hard to get
5-6 years ago?
Yeah, I think us 5 years ago, I think we were one of the last generations where the label thing, where everyone was so fixated on like a label, like the whole old school mentality where I need a label to really push me to the next like step and whatever. And now like with Spotify, I mean, yeah, it was hard to get signed. You know, we only got signed because that song got so big in the UK and it was making money. We were already a business, so like it was a no-brainer. You know, and everyone has stories where they've worked for 10 years and some people just work for 10 months. I think now, I don't think it's harder. I think there's more. I think it is for sure in favor now of the artist, because I think there are so many avenues via like, whether it's Spotify, you know, or like YouTube, labels that aren't really labels. They're kind of like third party things that do label services, but they don't own, you know, like a lot of your copyright. I think there's avenues now where artists can succeed without the traditional like template of like, I need a major label to get behind me. But I mean, but for us, that was the best move, and Republic's been a great partner.
Sure. Yeah, because now you have you guys did even with Republic, because you had a song that was, like you said, was generating money and you were a business at this point. But like, yeah, because it does make sense for an artist, if you're unsigned and you have those type of streams, you can kind of say, what are you guys going to do for me now? Instead of what I need you to do everything for me. Now it's, hey, I've already accomplished all this without you. So now what can you provide me? It's kind of a twist and a turn to what it used to be 10 years ago. It's interesting. And I did see, so you guys put out a couple EPs or a couple EPs last year. One of them you had a song with Black Bear. Tell me about working with him.
Yeah. Black Bear is really dope. Eddie and I had a song that kind of like had Eddie rapping on it for the first time. We were trying to like, you know, really bring in hip hop vibe to the song. And in doing that, it made sense to try to bring on a rapper on the verse, on the bridge of that song. And I don't remember how we ended up with Black Bear, but he was just on a short list of people we're interested in, and he was down to do it. And yeah, and we also have like a mutual friend that we write with named Andrew Goldstein, who's very close with Black Bear and writes a lot of his stuff. So yeah, thankfully he was willing to do it. He's dope because he raps, but he also sings at the same time. So he was able to walk that line, which I think was important for us on that song, because we wanted it to still feel like us and not be like totally hip hop. And he just did his thing, sent it to us, and it was like perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There was no back and forth really. It was just kind of like, this is dope. And then he showed up for the music video shoot, and he was totally chill hang. So
that's rad. That's and he's huge. I mean, he was huge then, but he's just has like,
he's had a lot
all
more.
over. Yeah, I mean, recently he's got like hit after hit after hit. It's nuts. And then this new record that just came out, you've got a couple features on there as well. I mean, tell me about working with Travis Barker.
Travis Barker was awesome because he's like such a legend. And then like for me, especially growing up in like Orange County, Yeah, everyone's a Blink-182 fan. I remember I bought like all 3 sets of like Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. And, you know, so I was like, so like we made a joke in the studio. That song was already done. And then we were joking around in the studio and we were like, oh man, this would sound sick if the drums, if they were more real drums, like, I don't know, Travis Barker. And then we told the A&R and like, ha ha ha. And then he hit us up like a couple days later. He was like, oh yeah, Travis, that's a song. You guys want to go through with it? And we're like, yeah, for sure. And he's such a pro. He hopped on Zoom and just like a humble dude and just was asking, you know, what do you guys want? I'm going to add this. Is this cool? Like whatever you don't want to delete. He was like the chillest, like, you know, because you think people at that stature kind of have like egos. He was just super cool to work with.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, you would think somebody like him could just be like, I'm going to send you something and you can use it or not, like not even ask for direction, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. And then also on the record, you have the AWOL Nation on there.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
That was crazy. I mean, we're fans of AWOL. Obviously, like, you know, that big song "Sail" was huge.
Yeah.
Was huge and so dope, and we've always looked up to him as like just like a dope artist in the alternative community.
Mm-hmm.
So he was also on a short list of people we were considering for doing the feature. I think he was like probably was on the top of the list, and thankfully, basically, our managers. This is how things get done in the music industry. FYI. Our managers also manage a band called Midland, and that's a country act. They're dope, like honky tonk country band.
Mm-hmm. I know the name.
Yeah, they're sick. And one of them in the band is named Cameron Duddy, and he happened to be roommates back in the day with AWOL Nation, like while AWOL first hit, like where he first wrote "Sail," like where it happened, and. So through that connection, our management was able to ask AWOL Nation to jump on the song, and AWOL was like, "Dope, but I also want to add my own flair to the song. Would you guys be open to like me adding some production, you know, doing some writing on it?" And Eddie and I were like, "Go for it." So it was like he took the song in a different direction than Eddie and I normally would have, and it took us a while to be like, "Okay, we see what you're doing here," and really be patient and like understanding to what his vision was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a back and forth, but I think we got the perfect like melding of these two worlds, and we came up with something unique that we would have never came out with on our own.
Yeah, it's an amazing song. It's also the title track to the record. Yeah, I love the new album. It's great. Tell me about what was it? Was there anything different putting this record together than the first full length you did, and you know, with Atlas? Was this a lot different process?
I don't think it was a different process. I think the only thing that might have been different is we had honed our like chops as like a band, like touring, and there's like a live element that you get when you play live shows compared to the way that we were normally recording like the previous album Atlas. So we really wanted to incorporate a lot more like live, like that human feel with like whether it's real drums or like guitars through amps or just whatever. I think that was a little different. Thematically wanted to still stay on brand as the score in like what we've done as a band, but we wanted to maybe look inward a little bit more, and some of the songs are a little bit more about like existential shit. And then I think the thing that makes it the most different is I think like maybe a third of the album was written while Corona was like a thing. We just gotten back from tour because we had
really?
Yeah, we had to get maybe not a third, but there's probably 3 or 4 songs on there that were written during the whole like lockdown, because we were on tour in Europe when that whole announcement happened. We had to end the tour early, fly back from
Oh my gosh.
Right. I was pretty inebriated when it was all going down. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was like 1 a.m, and Eddie's like, "Trump just closed the border. We need to get the first flight back. I'm like, what's happening? Aren't we going to London tomorrow? And they're like, no, we have to find tickets. And it was impossible to find flights.
Right, we got price gouged like crazy.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it went from like I found a ticket like one way from Manchester to LA. It was like at one point it was like $300. Then it went up to like $600. Then it went up to $900. Then it ended at like $1,200. Within like 20 minutes. Yeah. They priced out for crazy, those bastards. But
we paid. Those tickets were expensive, actually.
Yeah, like $1,200 a ticket. But, I mean, best flight of my life because we flew. We had the only seats available were like business class.
Okay.
Select.
Yeah.
And touring in Europe is expensive, so we always fly economy.
Uh-huh.
And they called it Economy Plus.
Is it Economy Plus?
They called it Economy Plus, but it was legit business. I've never experienced anything like that.
It was like the full-on reclining seat. Like it was.
For anybody who's wondering, that it does make a difference.
They give you your own socks. They give you.
Really?
Oh my god. It was awesome. Like so much booze. I think we were drunk. We landed at the airport. We landed back in LA.
It sounds like if you can drink a lot, you can drink the $1,200 worth of the ticket price.
I think we would have been more upset, but the flight was so great that afterwards we were like, maybe it was worth it.
Wow. Well, when you guys are on tour, you're in Europe when this is happening. Were you seeing the show crowds like dwindle down? Like, was there any sign of anything happening?
No.
We did call it the Corona tour though, because like every show we played, literally like it was like on
country.
Every country, every major city in the country we were playing, the next day there'd be like no more concerts allowed, no more public events allowed, no more like we were missing it by like a day every single city.
Oh my gosh.
But the crowds weren't diminished or anything. I remember when we got done playing Manchester, that was sold out. We had London the next day and we had to cancel like the next morning. And there are people on Twitter being like, "Hey, are you guys still doing the London show?" Like everyone is they still planned on going. So I don't know. There was a shift like a week later, I guess. I don't know what happened where it became official.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Weird.
Well, then you guys get back and you said you wrote at least three of the songs during quarantine. So did you have most of the record done and now you had time to finish it because everyone's stuck inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a bunch of songs ready to go.
Okay. And were you thinking about not putting it out now, or was that even an option for you just because?
No. I feel like we felt like we had waited too long to put this record out as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Atlas was what, like 3 years ago?
The fall of 2017.
So we just wanted to get moving, and also like, during this time we wanted to take a different strategy. Be like, yeah, touring's not possible right now, but people are still hungry for music. They still want something they can listen to during this hard time. So let's give it to them. Let's keep creating content, and we'll always be able to write more music.
Mm-hmm. And what about like the live stream stuff? Are you guys interested in doing any of that, or have you done any of that? We've done
a bit. I mean, we've done like the Instagram live stuff. We've done some Zoom co-writes. I know for our album released like a week and a half ago when it debuted, we did like a no cap show online where people paid like I think $10 to watch like a live stream of like the show where we put a bunch of songs off the new album. We've been working on for the past few weeks we put out like a podcast thing like on our YouTube channel called Keeping Score, where we interview different bands. We actually just interviewed 2 today.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're trying to make the most out of it because we know right now live shows aren't a thing for the foreseeable future, I guess. Hopefully, we have a tour announced for February, March of 2021 in Europe. So we're fingers crossed that goes according to plan, but we'll see.
Thank you so much. I do have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah. What I would say to this question is basically to basically realize that doing this is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't get tied up in a specific opportunity, a specific bad thing that happened, or a specific rejection that you get. Realize that this is a long game, and in the moment, it may feel like you're just running in place and not getting very far. And it might be, kind of like, discouraging in that way. But I promise you, if you continue what you're doing, persist, and then look back 2 years from now, you'll be so proud of where you've come.
Yeah, and then to add to that, in the context of music, don't take the word no like that serious from whether it's like peers or, other musicians or labels or like whatever. Because at the end of the day, nobody really knows like what they're doing. They don't know like what's like gonna work or not gonna work. And you just really can't, you have to just make sure you have like thick skin and just like believe in yourself. It's like it's like the most cliche shit, but it really is true. It's like you need to believe in yourself and you need to like pump yourself up to where like whatever anyone says, it's like, okay, like whatever, brush it off and just like, do it again and just like keep doing it. And at one point you will knock a wall down, that could lead you to, whatever path that's supposed to go. But yeah, just work hard, keep writing songs.
Bringing it backward.